and welcome to a bonus episode of Curiouser and Curiouser, the official show of the Curious Times. Earlier, we interviewed Niall and Hugo from Driftwood Adventures. Check it out. I am here with Niall and Hugo from Driftwood Adventures. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Now, I just wanted to ask you, what was your first real experience of outdoor sports?
Hugo, do you want to answer this one?
Oh, it's good. Well, I was always outside as a kid, just kicking a football and stuff. But I came up to Scotland and my auntie took me canoeing and I just got hooked on it from there. And I'd done a bit of canoeing beforehand, but it was in Scotland canoeing down rivers and stuff that I properly got hooked. And I got offered a kind of part-time apprenticeship for a year when I was 16, and I've just never looked back from that. So my journey as an instructor started when I was 16, and it's been great. That was my first time.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Niall, what was your first experience?
So my first experiences, it's a bit different, but I was just a young boy, and my best friend's mum and dad at the time were like, "Do you want to go do a Monroe with us?" And I was like, "What's a Monroe? I don't even know what that is." And so I just agreed and went along, and they're like, "You need a pair of boots." And then we arrived at a car park, and then we did like a 5-hour walk, and I was like, "This is amazing. The views were spectacular." Mm-hmm. And we were about halfway up, and I'll never forget how cool this was. We were literally walking along, and a fighter jet flew right down the valley we were in. I literally fell off my feet. I was just in disbelief, and I was like, "This is cool." And I know it's not very outdoorsy, but just seeing that fighter jet and being on the mountain just stuck with me till today, and I'll probably never forget it. But that was when it all started. I always loved outdoors, but that was when I was like, actually, being outdoors is really cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That was me.
Yeah. And I know Driftwood Adventures takes people outdoors to do all sorts of sport, but do you have a personal favourite?
You go.
The favourites have kind of changed over the years. So when I was like 15 or 14, I really liked hill walking. And then as I've kind of grown up, when I was like 16 onwards, when I first came up to Scotland, it was canoeing that I absolutely loved. And then a year later, it was more kayaking, and it's kind of been kayaking for a lot ever since. But snorkeling's now kind of becoming one of my favourite things. You get like a sense of freedom above the water. It's just good fun. So it keeps changing, and it's going to continue to change. Probably that's my way of things. Really, it's nice to keep mixing it up in life.
Sweet, yeah, cool.
Mm.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll answer some. So I guess for me, I always started out more of a canoeer when I was back in college days. I swore by canoeing, and I was like, I absolutely love canoeing. And for all the people watching it don't know the difference between a canoe and a kayak. A canoe is like a big long one that comes from Canada or all over the world, but people mostly say Canadian canoe. And then a kayak is like a one-person, smaller craft that's a wee bit more enclosed and does various different things. But I started out massively into canoeing, and I didn't love kayaking at the time when I started, and I was like, "Oh, it's really tricky, I don't like it." And then I moved on in the industry and did lots and lots of work in canoes and stuff, and eventually I got to a point where I was like, I needed to get in kayaks more, so I started jumping in kayaks on and off, and I began to be like, well, actually, these are really good fun. And now, probably at this point, I'm like, actually, kayaking is my favourite thing to do in terms of the outdoors.
I think both our first experiences in a kayak, we both actually hated it because I just spun around in circles for 2 hours in a tiny boat, thinking I can't do this. This is the worst. I'm going to just canoe.
Yeah.
And then the more we did it, the better we got, and now we love kayaking.
Yeah.
So I think the moral of that story might be that practice makes perfect or something like that. But yeah,
give it time as well. Don't just write it off straight away.
You can't just try things and be like, nah, it's rubbish straight away. Because when you start football or any sport, you're not great at the beginning. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Now, almost everybody who is in the outdoor sports business says that sport and being outdoors makes you feel better. But what do you think the benefits are for outdoor sport for young people?
Well, good question. Good question. I think that being outside is really important, that we connect with nature and things like that, because I think nowadays, I don't know about younger people, I can't speak for everybody, but even myself, I find I'm sitting on iPads and phones, and I'm staring at screens just far too much of my time. When in lockdown at first, I was kind of just going straight back to that sort of screen mentality where I was just like, I need to keep swiping and scrolling and, whatever you're doing on all this electronics, and see, the moment I was allowed to go back in a kayak, I just was able to enjoy nature just at its best, and I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be seeing nature. I want to be smelling it, just getting among it and having a great time. And people on the water and doing sports like this, they can't help but smile, because it's just what humans are meant to be doing, is outside and just adventure and exploring and having a good time and maybe being silly at the same time. So it's just, I think humans are just designed to be doing that sort of stuff, to be honest.
Mentally and both physically, it's the benefits are second to none. Like yesterday, we had to cancel this weekend just because there was strong offshore winds, and we were finally out today, so we missed the weekend of it and just being kind of indoors. We were doing stuff around the centre, around the site, and cleaning all our kit. But today was the highlight, because we were out playing on the sea, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Just the moment you get out there, you just feel that bit freer, and you can just, you feel like you can go anywhere and do anything effectively in that moment. But obviously there's limits, but it's just that kind of freedom's just brilliant.
Yeah. And doing these sports, you must be taking a risk. But have you had any close calls?
Hugo? Yeah.
We minimise the risks as much as we can, because we don't want anything to go wrong. There are risks out there, but it's just kind of getting rid of as many of them as we can. We don't want to have any close calls with people, so we had to cancel this weekend because it was really strong offshore winds, and if we're out paddleboarding offshore winds, we'll just lose. Basically, the weather will have its way and defeat us, really. So we make the right call beforehand, and we let people know as well. We don't want people to be paddling and spend 2 hours battling against the waves and not really enjoying it. We want to start them off in comfortable conditions, give them a taste of the sport, and hopefully introduce it and get them really into it.
Yeah, so I'd have to agree with Hugo. So when we've done all our training, we've been taught how to check weathers and tides and all these things, and we just have to apply that every time, because if you don't check with the weather forecasts and all this stuff, things could go pear-shaped, and we do not want other people in situations where we're like, actually,
we shouldn't be in this situation.
We shouldn't be here.
Place, yeah.
I mean, me and Hugo are happy to go out in stuff that you wouldn't want a beginner to go out in, but for us, we are experienced, and we kind of know what we do, know what we're doing. So we're more than happy to be there in those daft situations, but we call it fun. Whereas to another person, what we call fun is going to feel like
a bit more of a challenge. It can be intimidating for them.
Yeah, so it's not so much a big risk we're taking. We're used to it and trained for it. So it's about matching skill level to the place, and
that's same for every activity. Same with mountain biking. First time we'll take them on a nice calm trail rather than one with big jumps on it.
Yeah.
Same with rock climbing. We'll not take them lead climbing where they take the rope up and flip it in. We'll be the ones belaying them and introducing them to what's appropriate and a nice fun level.
So I guess as well, it's just like any sport. You're not going to get a brand new guy at football. You're not going to put him up against professionals or semi-professionals, because he's going to get hurt. He's not ready to.
He's not ready for it. Yeah.
The big leagues effectively.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to match that stuff in, and that's our job, to be honest, is just being able to facilitate people with different abilities to what they're ready for, and that's probably our main job, is assessing where they're at and where we can put them with it. So we never ever want to send out a group of beginners to a place where we feel that it's going to be a maybe. you know, they're maybe going to be able to control themselves in that. We always put them in a bracket. We know that they're going to be good there.
Yes.
That's it, yeah.
That's just what we'd advise anyone doing. So if anyone had their own like little paddleboard or kayak, is just to check the conditions before, stick in their ability that they're comfortable in, to absolutely progress and kind of work your way up to it. But if, especially just after lockdown where people haven't been paddling for a long time, maybe go a kind of level easier than you used to kind of ease yourself back into it.
Yeah.
And prepare yourself for it and enjoy it as well. You know, we paddled on some exciting waters, but at the same time, just on like the canal. That's a lovely place to go.
Of course.
See the city from and get out on the water as well. It's
we just love the
like
water.
being on the water. Yeah.
If there's a sink big enough, I'll probably paddle in it. So
Tried to get my kayak in a bathtub the other day. It didn't really work. No.
Of course. Now, how would you rate Scotland as a location for doing outdoor sports?
I'm gonna have to say it's probably one of the best. Just it's incredible. So we've got 282 Munros. So we've got the mountains covered. We've got a gazillion locks. We got burns, streams, rivers, you name it. We've got canals, you know, and our beaches are just stunning. I'm sure Scotland was voted. I know they vote this stuff everywhere with every country, but I'm sure I read somewhere that it was voted the most beautiful country in the world, and it's not by accident. The place is it's amazing. Absolutely
amazing.
Yeah.
There's even in the city itself. So I'm from Hull, which is quite a kind of industrial-ish place. There's lots of factories and stuff around. You got to go on a good wee drive to get that escapism of what Scotland offers. You know, you can be driving 10 minutes, and you can be out on the hills here in Edinburgh alone. Really, you know, half a seat, bang in the middle of Edinburgh. You go walk up that, you get the freedom of going up somewhere high and seeing some incredible views in the city centre. It's just, you know, it's incredible.
It is.
It's
brilliant.
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
really.
I'm gonna give it a solid 10 out of 10 from us.
Oh yeah.
You can quote us on that one. Scotland gets a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
For sure.
Aye.
For sure.
So much to do.
Yeah. And so these sports, people may view them as quite difficult. But how could young people get into these sports?
It's a good question. So we would usually say you could try for a club. So there's clubs kicking about all over the place for these things. So keep your eyes open. Convince your family to go along and try it out with a company like us, or you know, one of them.
Just like us, really. Yeah. We're
Yeah. So yeah, I guess there's not much I can say in that front, but just find a way to get in a boat and give it a go. It's the best advice I've got.
Jump on Google, search. So let's say it's kayaking in your location. See what comes up. Go with kind of people that know what they're doing. Try it out. If you like it, maybe go on a few more lessons. If you really like it and you're like, I want to get a paddleboard, get yourself a paddleboard and get out there on the water.
Yeah. So what we're saying is never ever go out by yourself straight away. It's probably not the best idea in the world.
We don't go out alone ourselves. No matter you can be the most experienced person out, just don't.
It can be dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah. Niall and Hugo, how did you train to become an instructor like you are today?
You want to answer this first, or shall I?
You can answer it first.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. A first, yeah.
Well, so I used to be a mechanic a long time ago now, but I was doing that for a couple of years, and I was like, this isn't really for me. I'd like to find something that's just a bit more up my street. So I heard from a friend that there was this cool course at Edinburgh College, and I applied for it, and I kind of then forgot about it and went back to work. And then a couple of weeks later, I had an email, and they were like, "You've been accepted in Edinburgh College for outdoor pursuits." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's a thing." So I kind of told my dad I was leaving his business, and he was a bit like, and I was like, eh. And then I went along, and I was like, this. Instantly, from day one, I was like, this is for me. So I spent a year there. I don't think I missed a single day. And then I just loved it. And then at the end of the year, they were like, you need to go and do a placement. So I was like, cool, sign me up. Where'd I go? And my tutor was like, I know a great activity centre up north. You're going to love it. So I went up there, did a season with them. I then went to New Zealand, did a bit of adventuring out there, done some cool stuff over there. Came back, done another year at college, getting a bit more extreme and exciting. Went to work, done lots of paddling and outdoor adventure stuff. Kept going, different seasons, more and more stuff. And eventually I got to a point where I was like, cool, now I'm there. Let's start our own business. And Hugo happens to be my best friend. I'm a business partner now. So that's where I've come from. Huge.
I was visiting my auntie one time in Edinburgh. She said, "Do you want to go canoeing?" I was like, "Absolutely." We went canoeing. I'd done a bit of water sports before, just a little bit, so I kind of knew what I was doing to a degree. I could keep the boat upright and not fall in. So the guy was like, "Oh, you're amazing." I was like, "Yeah, I am." and then halfway through I told him that I wanted to get into this as a job. I left school at 15, and I was like, "Oh, I'd love to do this." Went to visit my auntie that summer after leaving school. She then was like, "Let's go canoeing." Went canoeing. Halfway through the day, the guy that was kind of leading the session, he was like, "Oh, do you want a trainee instructor position?" I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So me and my auntie went home, couldn't believe it. Told my mum, woke her up because it was early in the morning, and I was like, "Yeah, can I move to Edinburgh?" She was like, "What?" So
Is that what you said?
Yeah, me and my auntie were just like, "Hugo's got this job position, we should totally do." And we were super like hyped. We didn't know if we were actually going to be able to do it or not, but we were. So my parents supported me for a year. So I spent like 3 days in Hull, 3 days in Edinburgh, 3 days learning how to, canoe and kayak and mountain bike and lead sessions in those kind of areas. And then 3 days in Hull, hanging out with my mates.
And then you had one day of just traveling.
And then there was a day. So after one of the days, I'd travel back. So I'd come up on a Tuesday and I'd go back down on a Friday. So it would be quite a busy.
Quite a long day.
But it wasn't, because I had 3 days off and 3 days on a day traveling in between. So it wasn't. It was good. It was really nice. And then I moved up to Scotland. Started working kind of part time for the company that took me on, and then they recommended the Edinburgh College course, and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'll do that." And the Edinburgh College course is it's the best. You're in college 4 days a week.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5
it kind of
days,
depends,
yeah.
But yeah, 4 or 5.
And you're out on the hills one day, you're mountain biking the next, you're climbing another day,
Kayaking the next day, and it's non-stop. So your fitness level is just going up and up and up and up and up until you're like, I don't know. By the end of my second year, I think I was the fittest I'll ever be. I was like ready to run up a Monroe with a kayak on my back type thing.
Wow.
But it was amazing.
And we'd met in the second year of the college course actually. And the guy that did all the water sports, he was like, he bought an outdoor centre. Me and Niall, we were both like, should we apply? Should we get the job? And he was just like, yeah, I'm looking for a instructor. So we went up for a chat. It wasn't really an interview. It was just a chat. And we were like, this place looks amazing. Yeah, we'll work here. And that was in Anstruther. It was really, really cool. So for like the first week, Niall did loads of big long drives while I slept in the car. And we started working at that centre, and we were there I was there for 3 years, Niall was there for 2, and Niall went off and managed another centre in the 3rd season, and I was managing the centre in Fife, and we just kind of got a real grounding of how to run a centre and run the business. And we were like, actually, let's do it ourselves, because the thing is, they were both quite remote areas where we were based before, we were managing. And we love Edinburgh, and we want it to be in the city. And frankly, the city's got so many places to explore. There's the canal on your doorstep. There's Crammond. There's Portobello Beach. There's so many places to get out and do stuff that we do. Yeah. So we're just like, let's do it. And now we're here. Got a little bit hairier faced, and
we're looking a wee bit more
weathered, aged,
more tired. I don't know. There's something going on anyway.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your answers. It was really, really nice talking to you. Thank you so much.